I don't know, with some words that seem to be misspelled, like S-H-O-P-P-E instead of shop. The word is ye. What does the word ye mean? It's an old-fashioned word. We're going to take a look at it. In Hebrew, it is the Hebrew word atem. And it's the first word of this week's Torah portion. Atem. When I think about it, I think about, well, I'm going to take you way back. I studied in college. I studied economics. What can I say? And one of the most famous of all economists from the 1700s was a guy named Adam Smith. And he was famous, among other things, maybe his most famous thing, was something called the invisible hand. And I don't know if you've heard of the concept of the invisible hand, but what it means is if people take care of their own best interests, things in a free economy will just sort of balance out. If producers make something that no one wants, no one will buy it and they'll stop making it. If producers make something that everybody wants, lots of people will make it and they'll figure out a way to get the price as low as it could possibly be. It's an invisible hand that in a free economy, the only things that are made are things that the people really need, and they're made as efficiently as possible. It's a wonderful, wonderful concept. And it has been taken out of context and misinterpreted in lots of different ways. The most striking thing about the invisible hand is it says that everybody in any community or any nation only has to think about what their needs are. No one has to think about anyone else's needs. And you will have that Shangri-La, that nirvana, that called an efficient economy. You only have to worry about what your needs are. It's funny, the term invisible hand. It has developed quite a number of followers. A lot of people that say, no, we're doing the best. Don't have any things that interrupt the free economy. Let it go as it goes. And that invisible hand is kind of like, well, the way people view it, they almost worship it. And an invisible hand kind of stretches to a spiritual concept. Well, it's really a good idea at its base. And it assumes that we have a few things that make for a free economy. It assumes that everybody has full knowledge. Knowledge not only of what's available and how to get it, but also knowledge of what's healthy for them, what's good for them. They have, so in other words, if people really knew what was good for them, would they really be buying so many sugary drinks? And that enters into the economy. It also has to do with equal access. That everybody should have the same opportunity to purchase things with no externalities. That everyone who needs a loan, given their qualifications, can get a loan. That everyone who wants to buy something is able to get there and to purchase it. that education is available to everybody equally. And it has to do with people understanding what their needs are versus what their wants are. And that people, the consumers, buy things that they need, not necessarily things that they kind of like to have. So, like, for example, some of the problems with this invisible hand, why it doesn't work so well today, is because we have many things that make this, make our community unequal. We have things that not everyone has equal access, not everyone has full knowledge of things, and people aren't in touch with what they really need. This is influenced a lot by advertising. Advertising changes what people buy. It doesn't necessarily help them to understand it better. I'll give you an example. Whoever said that you got to spend 3 months of your salary to buy an engagement ring to give to the person you want to spend the rest of your life with? Who set that standard? Is that a necessity or is it a want? Is it worth going into debt for? I'm not even talking about the cost of the wedding dress, or all the other things having to do with some of the events. Who set that standard? Who said it? Also, a lot of things that Adam Smith wasn't aware of at the time. Things like pollution. Like, people might be able to produce things inexpensively, but it leads to a lot of pollution. Joseph Stiglitz, a Nobel laureate in economics, has several criticisms of this invisible hand, and he says one of the reasons why it's appropriate to call it the invisible hand is because it really isn't there today. Our society cannot be a free economy because of some of the issues going on, and he lists them. The invisible hand has been taken to give an excuse for justified selfishness. It's the invisible hand. The economy works itself out. I don't have to think for anyone else, only about myself. I think that the invisible hand has gone awry. But how do you measure it? How do you measure the cost of us trusting in this and not bearing out? Well, there is a group which set out to measure the cost, and this is not what you would call a social action group. This is not what you would call a bleeding heart liberal group. This is Citibank, as central to Wall Street as there is. Citibank asked the question, how much is the cost of the invisible hand gone astray? And they looked at just one concept. They looked at just one concept over the last couple of decades. They said, how much does it cost America because of our racism? Just because of racism, how much does it cost? And they looked at things like loans which are denied to African Americans, which would have not been denied to them if they were white. And they concluded that it comes to about $1 trillion a year. Our economy would be about $1 trillion a year stronger without racism. And there would be 6.1 million jobs more. And that's only looking at African Americans. And this is Citigroup. Citigroup that tells us how bad it is for everybody, for the economy, how bad it is for the economy to have racism. And they didn't even look at Latinos and Latinas and other minority groups, just African Americans. $1 trillion a year. Do you know how much $1 trillion a year is? If you went to every single bank and every single wallet and you pulled out every dollar bill there is in circulation, and you went to all the supermarkets and all the stores and cleaned out every trash can, every cash register, all the money there is in America, all of the cash and all of the coins, it doesn't total $1 trillion. That's a lot of money. $1 trillion is huge. If you went back in time 1 trillion seconds, 1 trillion seconds from today, do you know where you'd be? You would say hello to Neanderthals. It costs us a lot. And I'm not even talking about a social cost. I'm only talking economics. Economics of racism costs us so much. It gets us back to that word ye. Ye is an old-fashioned word that's hardly ever used in English. In English, when you want to talk to someone, if I was looking just to one person, I would say, how are you doing? And if I was talking to everyone, I would say, how is the well-being of ye? How are ye? Ye is the plural. It's you in the plural, all of you, or as they say, all y'all. And what's so important about this? Well, the beginning of the Torah portion says, Atem nitzavim. You all are standing here today. And it goes into elaborate detail to spell out who all is entering into this covenant with God. The chosenness, if it were. Who's entering into it? All y'all. Each and every one of you. The men, the children, the women, even the strangers that happen to be in your camps, or near your camps. Everybody, whether the heads of a tribe, a respected elder, or the guy that chops your wood and schleps your water. Every one of you. And I think the reason that it goes into so much depth is because a big part of the covenant is not what we call the invisible hand and just thinking about yourself, but realizing that we are all in this together. The Haftarah hammers home the point when Isaiah says, God says, cry aloud, do not hold back, let your voice resound like a shofar, declare to my people their transgression, and to the house of Jacob their sin. Yes, they seek me daily, and though eager to learn my ways, as if they were a nation that does what is right and has not forsaken the teachings of its God. They ask me the right way, as though eager for nearness to God. When we fast, you say, why do you pay no heed? Why, when we afflict ourselves, do you take no notice? Because on your fast day, you think only of your business and oppress all your workers. Because your fasting leads only to strife and discord, hitting out with a cruel fist. Such a way of fasting on this day will not help you to be heard on high. Is this the fast I look for? A day of self-affliction, bowing your head like a reed and covering yourself with sackcloth and ashes. So Isaiah is asking the question with God's words coming out through Isaiah's mouth. Is this what Yom Kippur is about? Whatever you are doing and looking at yourself, look, I did the fast. I put on the ashes. I made myself miserable. How come you're not doing anything? It's not looking at you. Is this what you call a fast? Are they acceptable to the Lord? Rather, isn't this what the fast should be? This is what I look for, to unlock the shackles of injustice, to undo the fetters of bondage, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every cruel chain. Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, and to bring the homeless poor into your house when you see the naked, to clothe them, and never to hide yourself from your own kin? That's what God wants from us. Not God's talking to you means us. Doesn't mean you, me. When God says, I put before you life and death, blessing and curse, it's not just your life. It is life for everybody. Choose life for everybody, not just for you. That's what this is about. We're hungry today. You know what? You can kvetch about it. You're going to feel miserable. It's not about you. It's about you are today in touch with people that feel this way most days of the week. In America right now, there are two Americas. There are those people which have the luxury, and I'm going to call it a luxury, of being able to quarantine themselves and not go out or get food delivered and to not come into contact with others. And there's another America where people have to go to work and the conditions are not good and they don't have extra bedrooms for everybody if someone is sick. There is no other place. And the elderly might live there right next to them. They don't have the luxury of quarantining. For all of us to be healthier, we have to realize we're all in this together. We have to realize that if the other America, wherever that is, doesn't get the disease, we're safer off. We're better as a country. We're over this hump so much faster. What we do caring about others really, really affects us. This is what I want you to do. I want you to take a look right now at your fingernails. I want you to take a look at them. I want you to look at, this is Yom Kippur. Are they as clean as they could have been? I want you to take a look at I want you to really look at your hand. Look at the shape of it. The palm, is it taller than it is wide, or is it wider than it is tall? That's an interesting question. I want you to take a look at the other side of your hand now. I want you to look at the length of your fingers. Is your index finger longer than your ring finger? Are they about the same size? Do they tilt a little bit? I want you to look really closely at your hand. Because if you look at your hand and you come to see it, you're not looking at an invisible hand. You're looking at a real hand. And when this hand goes to break chains of injustice, and when this hand goes to offer food to the hungry, or when this hand opens up your door to let a homeless person into your house, this hand right here is not an invisible hand, but this hand becomes an extension of the hand of God. That's what we're doing here today. We're coming close to God. And we're also, we're broken, but we're coming to be cleansed. We don't know the right direction, and we're looking to find the right direction. And the thing about Yom Kippur, it's not about feeding us, it's about feeding others. The thing about Yom Kippur is it teaches us how to use our hands, how to use our words every single day of the year. That's how to make these high and holy days of awe really high and really holy and really awesome. May it be a good day for you. May it be a good year as well. Can you hear that song?